So we can still chit chat if you want, but we got a couple of things that we want to especially talk about tonight. Um, I was hoping two other members would show up, and I'd like to have permission to give them a couple more minutes to pop in.
This is Tom and Frank RSD.
Yeah. So as far as I know, that project, the Providence Mount St. Vincent to Beacon, is still in work. Maybe Frank will enlighten us at breakfast tomorrow. Uh, I thought Tom would jump on because he's back now from vacation, but I think it might be in Frank's hands to deal with getting access to Providence and getting up on the roof.
Yeah, because
So,
Tom said that the equipment is all done at this point. Is that right?
right, the equipment's done and programmed. They just need to put it in and do the alignment to get it best signal quality. And they're, the, I'll say, not ACS, Auxiliary Communication Service, but the, um, oh shoot, PSRG is really looking forward to getting that link in so they can put Hamwin up on Providence Mount St. Vincent.
Right.
So, things are going to be moving forward in that respect eventually.
So they want to use that site and just have the HamWAN hardware at the same location, basically.
Yes. They're going to put up at least two sectors. Sector one, which is 0 to 120 degrees, and sector three, which is 270 to 360. That's what they said. And we've been talking about repurposing some mesh equipment, which I have not got Nick to the place where he needs to go, which it's sort of on me. I'm going to have some time on Monday, Nick, if maybe we want to do some go look see kind of thing.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Uh,
Is this at the
let's see.
Brookdale, Alaska site?
Yeah, Brookdale, Alaska, and the equipment's still up at Salvation Army, which is a sector antenna facing north. So it goes about 45 degrees across the top over to about 310, maybe 300. So that that's a 120 degree. My math is can't deal with math tonight, but yeah, cut off all my hair and can't think. Um, but that sector antenna serves no useful purpose because there's nothing there. Uh, Occasionally it shows up on W7AW's Myrtle Reservoir unit, just occasionally. And then we also have that one that's sitting um, in between Fire Station 11 and the Salvation Army, up sort of up on the hill, that is John. Uh, my brain is not working. He was a volunteer. He volunteered his site to add to our mesh network, but that's when we had dug north by Fire Station 11, and so it worked out that there could be some connectivity, but I cannot remember his name. Crazy. Okay, and then of course my omnidirectional here at the house. Eventually, because I have HamWin, eventually we can connect the HamWin into my node at the house. Just have to make sure we put the right plugs in the right holes because I don't think I know how to do it right. But that would get HamWin on the system and give us internet access to those that access the mesh in town here.
Yeah, that seemed like that would be a huge win, just for making, you know, the mesh usable in an emergency situation, right?
Right. So not too much to report. It's been pretty stagnant for the last 6 months, and we're hoping that moving into the summer months, we start getting some action and some expansion. Um, but in the meantime, we had a person talk to us about a program called Meshtastic. And I've got the website queued up on my computer here.
That's what I've been fooling around with.
That's why I'm so glad you're here, Steve.
I actually have
Yeah.
been fooling around with two things.
So in the chat, there's a link to a video. Let me see if I can get to that. Where's my chat? There's my chat. Let's see if I can make this work here. I hate ads. Here we go. Are y'all seeing that?
I see it, Ron.
Okay. Doesn't seem to have audio. Oh,
there might be a setting in Zoom that you have to tell it to do the reroute the audio from the desktop.
can you hear that?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't hear it either. But it's also a 20-minute long video. Maybe it's better just to provide that as a link that everybody can watch later.
I can tell you in a nutshell what I've been doing. So I've been fooling around with this. Yeah, you're good. Here, I'll switch on my video. I've been fooling around with this stuff for. You're good. Sorry. I'm dealing with another kid number 2 here.
Okay. Hi, kid number 2.
He was doing his reading and he's good. You got 56 seconds more to read. You're good. You can go. So I've been fooling around with Laura, not my wife, but the radio, for about 2 years now. And what Laura is, it is a protocol and a system, that was invented by a company called Simtech, which actually sort of goes all the way back to Vietnam, which uses spectrum sort of radio stuff. But they've put it all in a little chip. It won't. There it goes. It's that silver chip, and mostly used for telemetry stuff for farms and all that sort of stuff. And all right, I have to do some discipline here with the kids. Hold on, stand by. this is why I usually don't go to meetings. So anyway, so Semtech started all this, and what it is it's a low spectrum guide. But what's amazing about it, and it does it at low data rates. Data rates go from a few bytes per second up, can get to about 500K actually. But most of the hams and this mesh-tastic people are using it at low bandwidths, mostly because it can get down to, for receive sensitivity, around minus 136, 137 dB. So it has an amazing receive sensitivity with error correction. So you can go pretty dang far with these things, and they're only out of the package about 1/4 of a watt. And because they're license free in most cases, right? So 915 in the US, which is, you put a better antenna on it, I think you're allowed 4 watts ERP. So, oh, the kids are yelling at each other. So, now another kid's in here. So with this amazing receive sensitivity and the forward error correction and the protocol, data recovery is great, distance is great for the amount of wattage that you're transmitting. So this group Mesh-tastic is sort of making this community radio stuff, and it's on like version 2 now. I started messing around with it when it was version 1 about 2 years ago, and they've really got it down, like I said. And they're using this one. There's like 4 or 5 different boards now. Like this little guy, let's see if we can get it to focus. Has a little display on it, the GPS antenna, battery, battery on it. Now this one is another effort that hams are using it. So it comes in really 2 flavors: 914 for the community mesh stuff, and then the ham radio guys are also have a APRS version on 433. And this particular set that I have is the 433, because I was playing with that for a long time, seeing how far it goes with a real antenna on it. And I was doing that around here too. And every now and then you'll see me, if you go on APRISIS, you'll see my L for Laura hanging on it as a gateway. But the mesh guys, what they've done is they use this as a transceiver, like you would think, but then they also connected it via Bluetooth to your phone, and they have a chat, and it's all meshed together. And that's what makes it so easy to use. And they've made it easy to use because you can download it and put it on via a web page. You don't have to use any fancy software or connections to make it, to download the program to it. You can buy it as a kit, and then you just connect it up to your phone, and it looks just like a text, your texting program, which is, and so a lot, and it's unlicensed. So a lot of people are doing it as a community-based thing. So like your hubs and stuff like that might be interesting. I was talking to a guy on Anderson Island that wants to spread these things all over the place on Anderson Island today. People are making them solar powered, because they have repeaters, digipeaters basically, right? And speed is not the deal. It's just getting the message through, right? So what if it takes 1.5 seconds as opposed to 25 milliseconds? So yeah, so it has a really good base, and the software is stable. And like I said, they're on version 2 now, and a really good following, and lots of, thousands of people are doing this now, community based. as opposed to ham-based, which is why they're all doing it on 914, which is neat. So you can get, a bunch of, you could set up in every place you're doing a ham mesh, you could put one of these, little boxes with a node in it, and also have these things going too, and make it solar powered.
And those
What's
frequencies
the price?
don't
The price?
overlap with what we're using on Arden either. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, you could, you're so far away, it would be fine. You could get a 2.4 version, but I wouldn't do that. But the price of these guys, like, what is it? I don't think you're spending more than $50 for the radio part of it, and the software is free. I wish it could focus better. And of course, you use your phone because they have apps for Android and iOS. And then it's just a matter of you putting it in a box with batteries and either charge it, via USB or a solar charger, which
Mhm.
they sell it as in the kit. If you go to the Meshtastic site, I don't know how you pronounce it. Our land outfit sells all the things like the solar charger, the batteries, and a bunch of other people are sending, 3D printing things and selling them. And so the investment isn't that great. But it this way, it's really to make it what is antennas in this case, in my view. Having a good 914 antenna with some gain and knowing a little bit about radio propagation. One could say, well, of course, if you do it on 430, you're going to get 25% more coverage, but then that locks out the community people from doing it. So, which I totally understand. So, but some guys are setting up it on 430, but because it's available, but you have to be licensed. And then you can get amplifiers, of course. But then again, now you're talking a ham licensed person and not a community person. So it's more of a challenge to make it all license free. But then you have more community involvement because then anybody could do it, which is sort
Would
of
you
cool.
drop in the chat, John? John?
I unmute myself. I just randomly picked one of the radios that off of the web page, and this is a two-set 915 megahertz ESP32 LoRa V3 Wi-Fi and BLE development board, blah blah blah. But for $59 for set of two, I'm not sure if that's something you'd start off with. It looks like more of a kit type of thing.
They have links, that go to the ones that can handle the software. And that's the trick, of course, making sure you get the right ones that they're writing the software for. So,
This was approved. This is on their list of approved.
yeah.
Device.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
looks
is
like
that a
maybe
case down below?
$25-$30 a piece.
Yeah. But it does, a little construction these days, with antennas and putting it in a box and batteries if you want to do battery driven and things like that. So the only bad thing that I've seen is unlike the Arden stuff, you can't upgrade it. You can't upgrade the firmware via the radio, which means you have to have access to it if you're going to do an upgrade to it of the firmware. So you got to connect it via Bluetooth or via a USB cable. So like putting it on a 200-foot tower, probably not a great idea unless you do some craziness with like extending the USB via Cat5 or something like that to be able to upgrade it, and you have to go on site. So that's the only caveat that I've sort of seen on it. And that would be for a repeater node. It's funny how they call it. They call them repeaters. In reality, they're digipeaters, but because they're only using one frequency. So, and it's
I have a
meshing.
question. Has any thought been put into the fact that since these are some low power units, whether or not they could be on directional antennas back to back?
I don't see why not. You got to watch it again with the ERP. If you have a directional antenna, you might exceed that 4 watts real quickly. Yes, I know. But if you're the licensed ham on it, you're fine. If you're the owner, right, you're okay. Whereas, and I presume a community user that isn't licensed, it goes through it is fine. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're the control operator, right?
Hey, Steve,
Yeah.
I have a question. Are all the frequencies that this LoRa used, are they all within the ham spectrum?
No, you can get ones that are in, like, for other countries, it's like 8 something. So you have to watch which one you get, because there's UK versions and US versions. So yeah, be aware you want the 915 version. Now, of course, you can choose other channels in there, but the radio chip is optimized for that 915. So so you can't go to like 920 if you want. See, in the industrial application of these radios, it's called LoRaWAN, which is used in farming and all this sort of stuff. And they do 8 channels or 16 channels worth of this stuff with a receiver. No one's ever taking advantage of that sort of thing. So it's fairly bandwidth. And like I said, the mesh guys are using low bandwidth to get the distance. Like I said, if you want to go faster, you can redo the settings on it and go up to like 1K, 2K, up to like 500K. But the problem then is your distance falls back, of how far it'll go. Your receive sensitivity goes down as your bandwidth increases. So, I mean, they're going at like 1200 baud, something like that. I haven't really looked at it, but it's good enough for messaging is what it is. It's not good enough for sending us, TV. But I mean, I've messed around with these things. I've done TCP/IP through it and done APRS through it, and all sorts of fun things like that. So they're just radios. Some people have a hard time with it because it's proprietary and not open source, but that's too bad. I'm okay with it since the chip is only, I think the actual chip is only like $2. But
I'm changing Wi-Fi, so you may lose me, but
right there he goes. But yeah, so now I'm waiting. That's why I can't. I'm waiting for my 915 megahertz set, and rather than my 430, just to see what's out there and to see what everybody else is doing. And but you can put it on either. I mean, I guess you could do like if you wanted to, back to back, a 430 megahertz one and a 915 and connect them together and that sort of thing. And you could do a long link with a 430 and to somewhere else, to another place. But again, you got to be a ham to do the 430. But
I
you
think
know,
this might be worth taking a look at and doing a small investment and a test bed. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I mean, each unit is $25. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've spent more than that on some random radio experiment.
exactly.
That's
And
what
that
it's all
might not
about,
battery anymore.
experimentation.
Yeah, what I found and what I've chatted with people and I've been watching on Facebook and stuff like that is that people are going, "Oh, you can buy this 915 megahertz antenna. It's only, $10 and it says it's 10 dB." And it's like, well, put it on the antenna analyzer and tell me really how it is. A lot of these people are not looking at like quality antennas and quality feed line, and that's where our radio expertise comes in, you know.
Yeah.
And they're going, "Oh, why aren't I getting the distance that other people are getting?" Some people have gotten over 100 miles on these things,
Hmm.
but they sort of know what they're doing, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, if they can do 100 miles, I can be a relay down in Alaska, which is 86 miles from Portland and 85 miles from Seattle. So put up a node there and maybe do a digipeater
yeah, it's got to
connect.
be it's got to
Connect
be
more.
directional antennas to do that, I would think. But so what?
Yeah, that would
900
be cool if we
megahertz
could.
Yagi is easy to come by.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 9 4. In fact, I gave Tom two of them that I had, which now I have to get back. And I mean, they're tiny. That's what's so great
Tom
about them.
Saunders.
Yeah,
Okay.
I gave them two very nice. Was it? I forgot the name of the manufacturer, but they're very well built 915 directional antennas with it was like 5 or 6 elements. They were nice. So I
Hmm.
got to get one of them back.
Yeah, we
So,
need to get him back in our fold here.
So, Steve, do you have a digipeater, like a repeater node set up at your place?
well, I'm waiting for the 915 stuff to come back to get here. I mean, really, it's short supply because people are buying these things up left and right. So, and then you'll see some people say, "Oh, this version is more power efficient than other versions," and all this sort of stuff, or you have to have more battery power for this version. There's LilyGo and what's the other one? I forgot. There's like 3 different manufacturers of this: Heltec, LilyGo, and I can't remember the third. And you get on the chats and on the Facebooks, and you'll see lots of people discussing, power usage and all that sort of stuff. If you're making a solar battery version, that becomes important. So, especially for a repeater, um, you know, people are putting these, what are they? These 18650 batteries. They're bigger than a C cell or so, and they're putting like 6 of them together to so they can go a week without charging, and a nice big couple of watt solar cells, and so they can get through the nights and stuff in the winter. So they've already worked out a lot of the bugs out of it, which is sort of neat. So yeah, it's a neat thing, and I think it would be useful. Plus, again, it's community based, no license, which is sort of fun.
Yeah.
You get other people involved that wouldn't necessarily go for a ham license. And then, you can maybe walk into that's a good question. I don't know how many phones one unit can support. That would be, I've never thought about that. Or is it just one-on-one? Since it's Bluetooth, it's probably one-on-one, I'm thinking. that would make sense because I don't think Bluetooth supports more than one client. Is that right? Usually not. So
Seems right.
yeah. So I'm not sure. That would be something you'd have to consider and think about. So, but it would be neat to have it in your car as a backup or something like that, and or in something like people have connected on buzzer. You can get a buzzer option on some of these things so that you get a message, it'll buzz, and then you can connect up your phone to it. Things like that, which is neat. And it's all meshed, and that sort of runs in the background.
So I would advise everybody to save the chat because it won't be saved on the video, but save the chat currently, and that gives you all the links that we've been talking about tonight.
Yeah, and I'll post some notes from what Steve was just talking about to the Northwest Mesh.
Okay.
So Nick, are you able to save chat? Because I'm not able to.
I'm just gonna grab the links that are in chat and work them into my notes that I post.
Did you try to save chat? Because normally there's a way to do it, but for some reason, I don't see a way to do it.
Yeah, if you go into the chat, open up chat, and at the
Yeah.
well, I just saved it. So there's 3 dots.
Yeah, see, that's my problem, Ron. I don't see the 3 dots.
It's down below the type your message here line.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
looking.
have the 3 dots either.
Well, something happened to the 3 dots. That's what I was looking for.
Huh.
It's
I
not
wonder if
there.
that's because you're the host, Ron, that you can see it.
Well, let me see.
But where are those markers?
No, here I'm gonna post another link that is where a lot of these people are buying it other than Amazon. Hold on. Whoops. Let me get to the chat. This is like the official store. This Ropeland store. And you can get the LoRa stuff there or the Heltec or the LilyGo and various vendors and boxes and stuff. But you'll see a lot of it is sold out. But they're restocking it. Like I sent away for the 915 stuff from them. This Ropeland outfit. I guess they're in California. I have a direct line to the Chinese manufacturer. But I could also post a link on, I don't know if Meshtastic in their help if they get into the radio propagation part of it, but I have another link because there's actually another project that's in its infancy because there's APRS over LoRa, and now there's another thing that I've been chatting with the guy coming out of Europe, and it's called Reticulum. And it is an interesting mesh system. And if you ever want to really dive into it, it is a system that takes any transceiver at any speed, including HF, UHF, VHF, LoRa, puts on in the background a communication system, digital, that you can communicate over all of them and using TCP/IP. Doesn't care what speed it is, doesn't care what RF it is, but it brings them all together. And it's
Wow.
in the alpha stage right now.
Lenticular.
It's called Reticulum.
Reticulum.
Yeah, I'll find it and I'll post it.
Does
But
this
it's
look
like
the right...
way beyond. Yeah, there it is.
That icon looks right.
Right.
Okay.
And that's it. And it's in the alpha stage, and it's talking about stuff way beyond me. Now, the only controversial thing, and I've been taught, and is that it's interesting. It's, you know, how hams get all crazy about encryption. But in this case, it's an open source encryption, but it's part of the protocol, and it's what makes it work. So it would sort of skirt around the law. It's not since it's part of the protocol in its mesh, it's not to subvert, it's not to hide.
Well, that's like Vara. Vara is
Right.
can be higher, but it's part of the protocol, so it can be used.
Right. It's exactly the same thing. So, you know, some of these guys who quite don't understand, well, you know, when that law was made up, they had no idea that this stuff was going to happen. So, so some people get a little bent out of shape about that, but it's something to watch. It's still a lot of bugs in it. It's not even at version 1 or version 0.5 or something. And the guys that are working on it are, you know, way beyond me on comprehension of anything. So, but it's fun to watch as it matures. So you could end up with a HF mesh system. I mean, think of that.
Well, that's sort of like what if you plug HamWAN into Arden, that's sort of what you get, right? Is that
right?
HamWAN does the HF part, and then Arden is doing the Wi-Fi part.
Right. And imagine that it can also work at 1200 baud, you know, and you connect it all, and the system recognizes it all, and you'll be able to send messages. And I mean, they're working really now just with messaging, but you can eventually do apps and email and all that sort of stuff, because it is based on TCP/IP. So, and it figures it all out itself.
Okay, I'm going to ask John. John, do you have access to approved people for the Northwest Mesh IO?
I have the CC list, but it may not be everybody, because some people rely on Groups IO for their invitation. So it's kind of a redundancy there. There's an overlap between the CC list, or the BCC list, and the Groups IO people. So if we send it to both the BCC and the Groups IO, it would be sure to get to everybody that is.
Well, no, what I'm trying to figure out is who's the gatekeeper to allow people into the Groups IO.
That's a good question. We inherited it from somebody. In other words, we kind of cannibalized. Well, we didn't cannibalize. We took it over because Northwest Mesh has been there for some time before we started using it. And so there's somebody. I've never communicated with the administrator of the Groups IO. So you'd have to send a message to admin or something like that to get in contact with that person.
Well, there's a number of people that have signed up and requested to be a part of Mesh IO.
They're not being accepted.
They're not being accepted. They're left in limbo.
So we need to get hold of the administrative functions, because we're the primary users of that group, and the person who set it up, I think, has just kind of backed away from it to some degree, especially if he's not admitting people into the group. That's an issue.
Yeah.
So I think we need to reach out to the owner / administrator of that group.
So that would be admin at Northwest Mesh.
I'm not sure. It'd be something like that.
Yeah, on the Groups IO page, it says the group owner can be reached at NWMESH plus owner at groups.io. I don't know goes anywhere. You know, if they're
Well-
not approving new
Well,
members.
yeah, but see, the thing is, they have been, someone has been approving people in the past, so it looks like it's kind of, kind of a gap in the process that, so that, that person, whoever that person is, has been approving new subscribers in the past. Question is, are they paying any attention now to the group? I'm hopeful that if you send it to
Nick,
the
do you want
owner,
to reach out to the guy,
Sure.
to the
Yeah.
owner, and ask him if you could be a co-administrator?
Yeah, I'll
So
do
he
that.
still has control. We don't want to take it away from whoever it is.
yeah, he can be the owner, but we need administrators. How many people are not being admitted or subscribed?
I think there are 3 or 4 sitting in queue.
Can you tell how long they've been in the queue?
No, that's just word of mouth that I heard that there are about 3 or 4 people that have applied that have not been approved yet.
Yeah, I think it was
I
an
can't see
oversight.
anything.
Yeah, I think it's an oversight that we didn't get some administrative control of that because we are the primary users.
Well, it's something to think about going forward anyway. How's my quality? I'm using Hamwan here instead
great.
of the CenturyLink or whatever it is Cindy's got. I'm using my Hamwan upstairs on the 4th floor.
I'm telling you, Ron, you look 10 years younger tonight.
It's not because of the Hamwan, I'm sure. Now, I've lost a couple of pounds too, so that helps. Mark, you got anything going on down there you want to talk about?
No, no real change since last month's.
You finished moving in and you're getting ready to start putting your stuff in the air?
I'm still looking for stuff. I know it was packed very carefully and labeled with where it came from and where it was supposed to go, but it all wound up either in a garage or one of 3 different containers or the barn, and
wow.
did not get sorted when it was moved from place 1 to place 2. So having a little difficulty. That and the weather. We've had some pretty unpleasant weather here lately. Cold and wet.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe something will start happening now that things have warmed up a little bit. Except
Yeah,
that
you'll have to start cutting the grass.
well, it's just so pleasant to sit there in the sun and not be cold, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in the same boat. We've been having lots of rain and cold weather. It was 32 degrees this morning, right at freezing at my house. And when the sun came up, finally, it got up to about 48. I almost wanted to go shirt sleeves and shorts because it was so warm outside. Nice. Okay, Phil, do you got anything going on for us?
No, finally, I've got both the 2 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz unit that are going to get up into the sky again. I have located a couple of nodes that I should be able to link into. We'll see how that goes.
Okay, yeah, please keep us informed. We're going to stick to the 2.4 up here for the major Arden ham because up here in the neighborhood, ham WAN is in the 5 gigahertz range, so we don't want to infringe on their spectrum. Yeah, so I'm going over to, where am I going? Not Buck, Larch Mountain is where I'm shooting to with my ham WAN, and it looks like it's holding pretty well.
Ron, I did want to
Where's that
mention,
you're shooting to?
I think I really don't know. It's a little bit to the northwest of my location. I was over on Baldy, but Baldy went away. So I switched north about 15 degrees, and I think it's either um, Buck Mountain or Larch Mountain.
Don't they have one on Gold, or did that go away too?
Gold
Well,
went away.
is there
Oh.
more than one Larch Mountain? Because the Larch Mountain node was taken down due to the DNR.
Yeah,
Yes.
there is
Yeah,
one down
this is,
here. There is one
say
down
again.
in Livingston that I'm gonna try to get into.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to relook at the angle of the dangle here and see where my dish is pointing. I've got a program on my phone that tells me I can look at it in using the camera, and it tells me what mountains are out there. I'll be able to recognize which one I'm attached to.
And Ron, is that from your Seattle location or your Onalaska location?
Seattle. Yeah, I only have ham win and mesh in Seattle.
Yeah. You know where mine is pointed?
No.
It's pointed in the garage, like a lot of ham radio equipment. Someday I'll put it up.
Yeah, well, there's a node on Beacon where you could attach to Beacon if you wanted to.
I don't think I have a line of sight. I can see sort of downtown, Columbia Tower. I can see that new tower and north. And of
Yeah.
course, I was going to go for Baldy before Gold before it went away. Gold would have been perfect, but
I have a clear view of Gold from here.
yeah, so do I. It would make sense to have something there, but
Thank you,
so much.
DNR.
Yeah. Boy, that is a finagle. Never mind. We're not gonna even go there. But
Yeah, we don't want to do politics.
yeah.
John, did you have anything else that maybe we need to know about?
Well, we lost,
You muted.
yeah, we have a silent key. Steve Jackson passed in December, so that's the reason he wasn't communicating. It's been a real loss to the club.
Yeah. Well, he was my DMR radio programmer, and so I'm going on probably 5 renditions of the DMR program backwards. So we'll have to see if my radio will even still work.
I think Nick
Uh,
indicated there would be some discussions about DMR. Nick, do you have anything on that?
On Saturday?
No.
Well, you said there would be nothing's happening.
In the October meeting, I think we have tentatively on the club schedule, we have digital voice modes, including
Okay.
DMR. But we don't have a speaker for that right now. So
who's the DMR go-to guy now in the club? I don't. I kind of fell off the edge there. I have a DMR radio, but I haven't used it for months.
Steve Jackson was the #1 guy for me. I don't know of too many. I think Jonathan might have a DMR radio, but I don't know how strong his programming skills are.
So we do have a DMR in portal. What do you call them? They're not repeaters. What do we call DMR things where you connect to the DMR network? Yeah, they're not
It's at
repeaters.
Myrtle Reservoir now.
We have one at Myrtle Reservoir. Yeah, I should probably try to hit it. I have been able in the past. I wasn't able to hit the one downtown because I do have my line of sight here is very limited. So I think between me and downtown, there's a small crack or window I can sneak through to get a connection. But if it's at Myrtle Edwards, I may not be able to get a decent signal.
Go up on top of the roof, stick an antenna up in a tree that you got up there, and then drop the cable down to your balcony.
Say that again. Go up on the roof and drop.
Go upstairs on the roof to the garden.
Okay.
Put an antenna up pointing to the node in Seattle, and then sneak the cable down to your balcony.
Uh-huh. That won't
on
work.
the outside.
It's that, what you described isn't the real situation here. The locations where I can have a clear view of downtown Seattle is in a different building. We've got three different buildings here, and each one has a different perspective. And my building doesn't have any perspective. And the only place I can go to the get to the roof level is on the opposite side of the building, which is doesn't give me a shot at downtown. So
Okay, that's closer to the C building or whatever it is.
yeah, the C building. Well, actually, C and I'm in D, and both C and D have a sunroom with a deck attached to it, so I can go out on the deck. But both of those buildings, the decks are pointing in the wrong direction. They don't give me a view of downtown.
Okay.
Yeah, the one in the A building does, but I have to truck over to the A building to use my DMR.
Just, fish a slingshot a line over to the A building
Yeah,
and just, nobody will know.
that's right. Manager wouldn't care if there's a wire hanging between A and D building.
No, certainly not. That'd give you a good HF antenna.
Yeah, I could use
Nick,
dual purpose.
I've been saving you for last. Anything else?
Well, I've got a couple of things, I guess. One, I have an email thread with Jim about the Grand Parade, first of all, and there's an experiment that he wants to do, setting up a couple of nodes at Hines in California and then Spokane in California, one pointed north, one pointed south, to see if we can set that up so that they can talk to each other and provide coverage for all of California from Lander all the way down to Edmonds. And I've got batteries and PoE injectors enough to do that experiment now. So where I will tomorrow.
Okay.
So that's one thing. And I guess,
John?
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, John. I've been browsing around the NWMESH at Groups.io. It appears that Bill Vodal is the one who set up that mesh at Groups.io to begin with.
I can
believe
talk.
he's still the administrator.
I can
Does he have-
talk. I know
just want,
very well.
does he have a call sign? That would be helpful.
Oh, Bill? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I don't even refer to him with a call sign now. Now I got to think about it. What is Bill's call sign? I talk to him like every 2 weeks.
Well, the next
that's
time you
great.
talk to him, do you want to ask him if we can get shared administrative rights?
I'll text him right now.
Hey.
That'll save Nick from having to write an email.
Yeah, he
Alright.
was apparently the architect who set up the Groups.io back in 2020, at least if I remember correctly.
Let's
Cool.
see. I'll see if he's awake. Are you
Thanks, Mark.
awake? Let's see what he
Nick, you want to
says.
go ahead?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, so I've got that stuff, and my plan is basically just to haul a milk crate with a battery and a PoE injector with a node stuck to it. There's a couple of little islands in the middle of California.
And you're
And just
going to
pop
cable
those-
lock those onto the islands, right?
Yeah, right. Cable lock them onto the signs that they've got there. And just get those two nodes set up to see if they, I think the couple of questions, one is, do they desense each other if being a block apart? And two is, can they talk to each other being a block apart, aimed in opposite directions? And then the third question is, does that then provide coverage all up and down California for the parade?
Mhm.
So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that Jim was suggesting putting together a solar power Arden node, to build a reference design for a solar power Arden node. and maybe put that on Atlas Summit School. I don't know if he has access there, but he showed me a picture that showed great sight lines from the top of the Atlas Summit School, or Summit
Okay.
Atlas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was something that I'll probably talk to him about it tomorrow. But
Which,
that was my update.
can I ask you a question?
Please.
Speaking of schools, does the West Seattle High have a ham radio club? Does anybody know?
That is a great question.
See,
I
they
do
should be
not know.
involved with, if they do, they should be part of this group. And if they don't, I'd be willing to start one.
They
Since
should
I
be a part
haven't-
of this group.
and because I have well, my kids are going to be entering into up there soon, another 4 years. So, I'll be part of that system soon. But they have a great location, and they
Yeah.
should have a club. They should
Yes.
have a high school club. I had a high school club. It was great.
That would be fantastic. And I know that's more community engagement is one of the things that we want to do with the West Seattle Amateur Radio Club. So
Right.
if you have it's a little tricky for me to just stroll in there and say, hey, I want to hang out with all the kids here. But if you're as a parent, an
Right.
incoming parent, that's a great connection.
Right. Plus, I know someone who knows the vice principal. So, yeah, if I have your guys' blessing with that, it would be a sort of, it might take a while to get going. So,
Sure. But that
Yeah,
would be
I would say
fantastic.
go ahead and get into that a little bit and see if we can, at the very least, get a mesh group going, and then eventually a ham radio group down the road if we can find enough interest.
right. Because I even have an old, was it Yezu or something? No, it's an old ICOM 708. I think, no, not 708. That's a new one, an old ICOM that I could even, if they're interested, HF rig that I'd give them. So
706 Mark II.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's in a box somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Kind of like Mark's.
yeah.
And
In a
Steve,
box
do you know,
somewhere.
there's two things that the West Seattle Amateur Radio Club has done that might be relevant here, at least as parallels. One is with the Pacific Science Center. They are working on an amateur radio program, like a bunch of educational programming around amateur radio, and the club is working with them. And then the other one is Lauren Linksweiler, she's a high schooler at Raisbeck Aviation High School. She at her high school has an amateur radio club, and she just put
Neat.
together a radio station there as her Eagle Scout project.
Right.
And a bunch of people in the club donated equipment to her. It sounds like it was a huge outpouring of equipment, in fact. And so she basically got that whole radio station put together from announcing it at the club to she had all of the equipment that she needed, and she had to put it all together. I think was like 3 weeks. So
amazing.
Yeah, there's a huge, I think there's a lot of desire to be involved in something like that.
Anything else, Nick?
No, that was everything that I wanted to say.
All right. Well, it's getting right up to 8:30, and unless somebody has something for the good of the order, we'll go ahead and shut her down, and at least shut the recording off.
Ron, did we hear from Phil?
Yeah, you did.
One final thing. In going through the previous emails sent from the NWMESH at Groups.io, there was Laura being talked about 4 years ago. This is back when it was a hack a day project.
Wow. Well, that'd be great if we can pick that back up and get maybe some people interested back in LoRa. All right, I'll go ahead and shut down the recording.